Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a deeply reflective historical narrative. It's one of those stories that just forces you to pause, completely stop what you're doing, and really examine the true nature of sacrifice. We're going to look at a powerful event centered on Imam Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, and his family. And as you'll see, this single night absolutely challenges everything about our modern understanding of what it means to have enough and what it actually means to give.
Right off the bat, I want you to consider this profound thought. Kindness for the sake of Allah never decreases your blessings. Actually, let's just let that sit for a second. Read it one more time. I really want you to hold on to this thought because it's going to be the lens through which we analyze everything in today's explainer. You know, in a world where giving almost always feels like a subtraction from our own bank accounts or our own pantries, this statement proposes a completely different mathematics of the soul. Let's see how that actually plays out in reality.
Okay, let's dive into this. Act 1. A quiet night in Medina. The source material sets up this macro scene of a peaceful, completely still evening in the historical city. But right behind the walls of one particular home, there is a very quiet, very real human struggle taking place.
I want to deliberately slow our pacing down here for a minute, because to truly grasp the magnitude of this story, we've got to build the physical setting in our minds. Imagine a simple home, and right in the center of that home, resting on a simple cloth, is a small loaf of bread. Just one small loaf. That right there is the entire anchor of our narrative. We have a family facing the harsh, physical reality of an empty stomach, and that single piece of bread is literally all that stands between them and continued hunger.
One evening, there was very little food in the home of Imam Ali, R.A., and his family. Take a moment. Let the heavy reality of that scarcity sink in. Because listen, this isn't a story of wealthy people writing a check from their excess. Not at all. This is a story of intense scarcity. It's the heavy, undeniable reality of impending hunger. That small loaf of bread wasn't a side dish, guys. It was the entire meal.
Which brings us to Act 2. The hungry traveler arrives. Just as the family is finally gathering around that simple cloth, just as they're finally about to break their fast and ease that painful ache in their stomachs, there is a knock at the door. The timing is almost unbelievably dramatic.
Just as they were about to eat, a hungry traveler came asking for help. Now, I have to ask you to mentally put yourself in that exact moment. Seriously, what would you do? Your long-awaited meal is sitting right in front of you. You are physically exhausted from hunger. And then a complete stranger interrupts that moment asking for the exact thing you desperately need. Talk about the ultimate test of human nature, right?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the total and complete lack of hesitation. In a situation where practically anyone else would pause, where we would weigh our own family's survival against a stranger's request, we see an instantaneous, elevated reaction.
Look at the active choice being made in this micro moment. It's a massive tug of war. On one side, you have earthly comfort, the perfectly justifiable biological choice to keep the meal for their own physical hunger. But on the other side, patience and faith, the choice to just give it away, trusting completely that Allah would provide. They are visually and literally juxtaposing their immediate physical reality against an incredibly elevated spiritual state.
Listen to the phrasing from our source material here. Without hesitation, Imam Ali Ra gave the food to the guest, trusting that Allah would provide. I want to emphasize that, without hesitation. That is absolutely crucial. It showcases this immense reflexive strength of his compassion. The giving wasn't some calculated, reluctant decision. It was just his natural state of being.
Continuing our deep dive into this moment, think about the profound discipline required here. They are elevating spiritual generosity over their own physical hunger. And look, the reality of an empty stomach is loud, isn't it? It demands your attention. Yet they managed to find a superseding joy in offering that single, small loaf of bread to a guest. They essentially conquered their own biological drive for survival through the sheer power of their faith and generosity.
They chose patience over comfort and generosity over their own hunger. And this brilliantly illustrates the dynamic that happens next. The traveler eats with immense gratitude. And the family? They just remain patient. They remain beautifully thankful, even while sitting there in their own hunger. The physical food transferred hands, sure, but the spiritual nourishment, that stayed right there with the family.
The source attributes these specific virtues to al-Bayt, the family of Imam Ali, R.A., and based strictly on the context of what we've unpacked from this one event, we can clearly define their historical reverence.
They are recognized for this exact type of profound generosity, this unshakable patience, and an enduring legacy of faith. Their actions on this very night define exactly why they are held up as such a towering historical example. Let's move to and see how this builds. Act 3, a legacy in the stars. We're zooming out now. We are leaving the quiet, earthly confines of that simple home in Medina, and we're shifting our focus to a much grander, truly cosmic scale.
The source paints this incredibly rich visual for us, a night sky totally filled with stars. Imagine the vastness of that sky. Those stars are used as a direct symbol of Allah's endless mercy. The text connects the dots. Just as the stars are vast and countless, so too is the divine mercy rewarded for such an act. It tells us that sincere giving, like giving away literally your last loaf of bread, is never ever lost in the grand scheme of things.
Their kindness became an example for generations, a reminder that sincere giving is never lost with Allah. See, this connects directly back to us as focused learners today. This is why this singular night in history continues to matter so much. It transcends time. It wasn't just a single meal given to one traveler. It was a permanent lesson broadcasted to every generation that followed.
So, the crucial point is, this single night completely shatters and redefines our standard metrics for success and abundance. It brings us face to face with the true meaning of wealth.
According to the lessons of this incredible sacrifice, true wealth is actually broken down into 3 pillars: generosity, faith, and compassion. Notice what is conspicuously missing from this list. Bread isn't on there. Material possessions? Nowhere to be found. The family had absolutely zero material wealth that night, yet the text presents them as the wealthiest people imaginable, because their reserves of generosity, faith, and compassion were completely full. To summarize the core theme of our explainer today, the text concludes, the legacy of al-Bayt teaches us true wealth is found in generosity, faith, and compassion. It leaves us with this radiant, glowing legacy. It's a beautiful, enduring reminder of selflessness left behind by one incredible act.